Hello, today I'm diving into the Spooky Sweet collection. Now, I'm not normally a Halloween person, but this is such an adorable suite of products. So I can't wait to show you them, and I'm going to show you the card that we're going to make today. But first of all, my name is Karen Slawinski. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I live in Akron, Ohio. So this is the card that we are going to make today, and it's a really cute card. You can see it's got a little bit of a different cut to the front of it. It's a very good layout to use. It's super easy to make, and we're going to be making that. But I'm going to show you all of the products in this suite. So there's paper, there's a stamp and die bundle, there are some treat bags, there's this lovely ribbon, and some really fun embellishments. I think you're going to love it. So let's turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you the suite. The stamp bundle that is in this suite is called Spooky Halloween, and it's got these two little cute critters, a bunch of sentiments. Of course, you've got to have bats, and then the dies. So there are 10 stamps, and then there are 9 dies. And so you've got the dies to cut out the critters. You've got a spooky house and a fence, some larger bats, and then this is a cute thing that you would use on a bag, topper, or something else that I'm going to show you shortly. So really fun bundle. So we're going to be using that. Then the thing that I think really I fell in love with is the paper. So this is the Spooky Sweet Specialty DSP. Now, I don't have full sheets of everything because I've been using it. So I'm going to show you some of the sheets. So this one has a whole bunch of different fun animals that are trick-or-treating. So you can fussy cut these out, which I have done that, and you'll see that in my cards. And then love that background. This sheet of paper here is, as you can see, I've used bits and pieces of it. So these are great for making tags and banners on your card. And then the reverse side for this is this beautiful gray. This I think is my favorite. Look at all these cute little treats. Little bats and stars in there. And then another great, very good overall background. Here we've got a whole row of houses with our cats and our jack-o'-lanterns sitting in the windows. And then another very good overall background. This is a fun one because these are ready-made for cards. You just cut them apart and they're ready to put on your cards. Makes some very fun and easy cards. And then this is maybe the best part. These are all punch out. So you just punch these out and they are ready to put together with your cards. You get 2 sheets of these. So you've got lots of different images. So that is the designer series paper, which is just fabulous. Then we have this ribbon. Look at this beautiful shimmery ribbon. It's Petunia Pop, and it's got an iridescent to it, and it is super soft. It ties easily. So I love this ribbon. We'll be using this on our card today. And then we have treat bags. So I don't know if you can tell, but these have an iridescence to them. They are so pretty, maybe even like holographic, but they call them iridescent. So you get a bunch, you get 20 of these treat bags. And I will show you how I've used that. And then look at these embellishments. Aren't these so fun? So these are foam stars, so you can compress them. So we've got them in the sparkly white, black, and a purple color. So super fun. So let's look at our card today. So this was the card that I had made as my sample. And I've used one of those kitty cat critters. And I've also used one of the dies. This is from the Spotlight on Nature dies. And there is the card. So we're going to be making this card. I'm going to choose some different colors. So let's start out. I have my envelope. And then we have our paper. This is an 8.5 by 5.5. I'll get my little Pierce mat out here. So we don't really need 8.5 by 5.5, but I found that this is the easiest way to do it, is just to fold it like you normally do, okay? So here is your normal card front. Then I'm gonna grab my little trimmer and I'm gonna cut off 1 inch. So I'm gonna just put this in here. And so the finished size is 7.5 by 5.5. But this is the easiest way. And then, of course, you can use this for later. And then we need some, let me get my paper here. We need some designer series paper. So like I said, this is the Spooky Sweet Specialty Designer Series paper, and I chose the pattern that's all these candy canes. So we're going to need to cut that as well. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. Again, we are just cutting 1 inch, and I want 1 inch off of this side. So I'm going to turn it upside down so that I can put that right in here and line it up with my 1 inch line and trim that. So now I have my 2 pieces of designer series paper that are cut. Then for our white, we need a 4 by 5 1/4. So this is for the inside of our card. And we're going to put this piece right down the side here. So we can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get out my glue and adhere this. So this is such a great layout for showcasing designer series paper, because you see a great big piece of it and you've got it both on the inside and on the outside of your card. So I just slide that into place. Okay, and it looks like I slopped a little bit of glue there. I'll have to rub that out, get my little gum eraser. All right, so there is our inside. I'm going to set that apart. And then this panel is going to go right on the front. So we might as well stick that down as well. So get this glued on. And I really love that you cut off 1 inch from both of your pieces. So it just makes it super easy. You're so used to doing the 4 by 5 1/4, so that's an easy measurement. And cutting 1 inch off of there and 1 inch off of here, super duper easy. All right, so we can set those two aside. And then we need about a 2 3/4 inch piece. This is going to be for our stamping, and then you need about a 3 inch piece so that you can cut your die. So like I said, this is from the Spotlight of Nature dies. It's got these ridges around it, so I've already gone ahead and I've cut that out. So we'll need that. And then you're going to need a little piece for your sentiment. This is about 3/4 of an inch by 2 1/4. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's for our sentiment. So let's get stamping. I'm going to start out with my Memento black ink. And if you've not seen me talk about this, I have put this into a blank. This is an empty pad that you get when you get the Whisper White. And so I've just filled it with the Memento black. It gives a very, very nice surface for stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my little kitty cat here. Okay, that looks fabulous. And then I'm going to stamp her little broom. Okay, let's get this turned around and do the broom. All right, so those look wonderful. So set that aside, and I will clean those later. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to cut these out, and then I will be right back. All right, here we are. Now, sometimes it's easier to color on a large piece, but sometimes if you've cut something out after you've colored it and your die slips a little bit, then it's very, very frustrating. So I chose to go ahead and cut them out. So let's get coloring. I'm gonna start out with my little broom. So I've got some Daffodil Delight, and I'm just gonna give it, you know, some typical broom colors. And this is actually a really good color because it shows up in the designer series paper. So it is a real good one to use. All right, so next, let's color our little kitten. So I have Smoky Slate, light and dark, and then I also have some basic black for the nose. So I'm gonna start out with my Smoky Slate, that is the dark shade, and I'm gonna color her ears. I guess it's a she. She's got a little dress on. And then let's color her little paws. She's got a little paw here. And then her feet. And her tail. And then I think I'm going to color this part of her nose. So it's surrounding her nose. I don't know what you would call that. Her little kitty puss. All right, so there is the basic part of her. let's get this next. This is the light smoky slate, and then we're gonna color her face. So I'm just gonna go around and color all of her face in the light smoky slate. Get that all blended in. All right, then what I thought I would do is get out my color lifter. Now, you may not have a color lifter, but I recommend having this. They last a very long time. I think this is my original one. But this allows you to help clean up mistakes, or it's kind of handy when you want an even lighter area. So I'm just going to go in this section here that is between her nose, and you can see it. It takes a little bit of time, but you can see how that's making it lighter. So that's just a really fun little technique. I like using color lifter when I'm using coloring animals, because then you can get a little bit more texture. So let's add some pink. This is Bubble Bath. We're adding that for her eyes. All right, let's color her outfit now. Oh, actually, I forgot her nose. So this is the basic black. So let's just get her nose. I guess we could have made a pink nose, but I've got a black nose for her. All right, I've got some Granny Apple Green, and I'm gonna color her skirt green. So let's get that in there. I'm just picking out colors that are in the designer series paper. So there's Petunia Pop, and there's orange, pumpkin pie. Of course, there's the yellow, the daffodil delight. There's smoky slate, and then there's Granny Apple Green. So I've got her skirt colored, and then I'm gonna do her top. I'm gonna do it in orange. I'm gonna start with pumpkin pie, and I'm gonna do the dark. So I'm just gonna kind of outline it a little bit, and then I'm gonna blend this in with my lighter shade. So I'm just going over with some of the details. Okay, now I'll go to my light shade and blend that in. Make sure I don't go over her little paw here. And just kind of go over it and blend in that edge line. A little bit more here. All right, so then let's add a little bit of stripes for her socks here. And I think we'll bring in some more of the yellow. So let's do yellow at the bottom. So that's yellow. And then she's got some yellow up here. And then let's do the light of the pumpkin pie for here. All right, so our kitty cat is now ready to stick down. So we've got our circle here, and I am just going to grab my dimensionals, and we are gonna pop up the kitty cat right on top of our circle. So let's add one more dimensional. And then I've got her broom. So she's gonna kind of be a little bit off to this side. Okay, and then I've got my broom. So let me grab my mini dimensionals here. Oh, come on, little, starting a brand new sheet. So then what I like to do is with my broomstick, I've got a sheet. This is where I've used up all my dimensionals. I like just cutting a thin little strip. So this really comes in handy when you just want a tiny little piece. So we can stick that on there. So now this can be popped up as well. So pull off my backings for that, and we're gonna stick that like so. Okay, she looks so adorable. Then what I wanted to do is use my bats, and I'm gonna add a bat up here, but I only want one of the bats. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this inked up, and I'm only gonna ink here so you can see it better. I'm gonna only ink up that bat. All right, And then I'm going to just go ahead and plop that right like so. Oh, I kind of went on the ridges, but that is okay. I think what I'm going to grab is my little black pen, and I'm just going to fill that in a little bit. So that's just something, I guess, to be conscious of when you go and do this. Try to get it over so it's not on the ridge. All right, so there is this, and this is ready to go on our card. And then we have our little sentiment here, which is, did I forget to get it out? I may have forgotten to get it out. This is going to say, no tricks, all treats. And I did, still in my stamp case. So let me grab a block for that. Okay. And let me put this on here. So I like getting it on straight. All right, let us stamp that, I think, in Petunia Pop. So get this out of the way and do no tricks, all treats. Okay. Now, a little bit off center, so I can fix that easily by just getting out my little trimmer and making this just a little bit shorter. So like I said, that 2 1/4 was just an approximate. So if you find that you've stamped it off center, just go ahead and trim it down a little bit. All right, so we've got some ribbon to add to this. I've got about 8 inches of ribbon or so. And what I like to do is use my seal and put that across the entire length of it. And then I'm just going to zigzag this back and forth. Okay. And the nice thing is you can kind of move it around till you get it just how you like it. So there is that. And then I'm going to grab my my scissors that I use only for cutting ribbon, and we're going to trim this down just a little bit. Okay. All right, now we are ready to assemble our card. So here is the front of our card, and we are going to put our little kitty cat over here, and she's going to go, you know, pretty much close to the bottom, maybe about 1/4 or a little bit 3/4 of an inch, not 3/4, 3/8 of an inch up. But we want to add adhesive or, you know, dimensionals only on this part of it. So I'm just kind of holding it here, and then I'm going to grab my dimensionals, and I'm only going to stick them on this part so that they don't show when the card is open. So peel that off. Okay, and then I can position that like so. Okay, then we've got our no tricks and all treats, which we are going to pop up there. So I'll grab 2 more dimensionals and stick that. Okay. And that looks so cute. All right. Then let's grab the inside of our card, which we've already put our paper down. And then all we need to do is our Halloween. So I'm going to stamp Happy Halloween in black. So I've got that here. And then I'm going to show you that trick about removing when you get a little bit extra glue. So let's put this here. That looks great. And let's add some more of these bats. Just put those. Okay. All right, so for when you have glue, this is a gum eraser. It is just a standard art supply. So if you've gotten glue on and it kind of oozes out, let it dry completely. Oops, slid right off. And then, look at that, I got a little smudge. So then you can erase the glue. So let me show you about the smudge. So I have another type of eraser. Again, it's another art eraser. This is a sand eraser. So if you get little smudges of glue, you can go ahead and use a sand eraser and hopefully just lightly sand it. I like going around in a circular motion. And sometimes you can't get it all, but you can certainly lighten it up enough that it's not going to ruin your card. So there, that looks pretty good. A little bit more of the glue there. All right, so this now is ready to go inside our card. So let's close up this ink. We don't need any more glue accidents. I'm going to add my adhesive to this. And boy, do I have so many cute cards to show you. I really kind of went overboard. Sometimes I do that. I just wanted to show you all the possibilities, and there are just so many. So here is our Happy Halloween card, and we need to decorate our envelope, and then we're going to have to add some of those gems. Oops, this is the wrong envelope. So this one, we're going to use our pumpkin pie, and we're just going to say, don't worry, eat sweets. And I'm just going to stamp that here at the bottom. Okay, so there is our card. Get my ink pads out of the way. So don't worry, eat sweets. And let's grab our stars. And we could put whatever color we want on here. So let us use a mixture. So let's put, how about a little black star up there? Oh my gosh, these are so cute. And let's use a big purple one here. And then let's even use a white one because we can. How about there? All right, so there is our card. No tricks, all treats. Happy Halloween. So are you ready to see some other fun things? I hope so, because they are so, so cute. So let me just get these out of the way. So let's look at all the samples that I have made for you today. Starting out with this one. This is so adorable. And I've got this little haunted house here in the fence. And then look at this bat. If you pull this up, you got a secret message here. And that's just a cute way to tuck something in. It's a little surprise. This makes a great topper for the bag. You can see how the back is. So the back just pops up. And so I really liked this card. And I've got some of those foam stars to make my starry night. And then Happy Halloween on the inside. And there's my envelope. Okay, I've got a lot, so I'm going to have to try to squish them all in. So this here is a very quick and easy card. I use those punch outs for the tree and this little trick-or-treater. And then this is one of the paper banners. You just trim that out, stick it on your card. Voila. A couple little more candy canes on the, or candy canes. I said that earlier today. What are these called? Oh, candy corn. My goodness. Sometimes your brain just goes out the window. And next one. This is a fun one because this one I use the two-tone cardstock. So this is pumpkin pie, and that's the shade that you're used to. However, the other side is lighter, so I embossed it with the plaid embossing folder, folded that over, and then I used the punch out for this hippopotamus. It is just a cute way to show off, get both tones of that paper. Again, super easy card, and happy Halloween. And this one has a whole row of jack-o'-lanterns on the envelope. Again, another easy one. So many of these are quick and fast to make. So this one, the cauldron and the goop that's inside it are two separate pieces. You just put them on top of the other. And then, I don't know if you can see that, but I added Wink of Stella to the green bubbly goop. And then I also put Wink of Stella on the inside for this potion bottle. And then there is that envelope. This next one is a fun one. So I used the Stylish Shapes dies. I used one of those, pretty much just an overall background paper. So that's the smallest of the Stylish Shapes dies. And then if you look underneath here, I've got that little strip of Petunia Pop. So when I made my first sample, that was the part that I cut off. So I used it on this card. I love this little banner of flags. Again, I've got those foam stars. And there is my inside and my envelope for that one. This is using one of those panels where all you do is cut it apart. So it's perfectly sized to be 4 by 5 1/4. These are fussy cut little critters from that one sheet of paper. Added my banner and my Happy Halloween, and then bats on the envelope. Here is another one of those panels. This time I cut out that great big stork. I think that's what she is. And I used only part of the sentiment for this one. The rest of the sentiment is on the inside, along with a strip of the candy paper on the bottom. And Happy Halloween is there. This is that row of houses. They're all full of trick-or-treat kind of stuff. So this one didn't take very much at all. Simply added my sentiment and one of the larger die-cut bats with more bats on the inside and bats on my envelope. Here is one of those other panels. Like I said, you can make so many cards so fast and easy because you just cut them apart and just assemble them. So there is Happy Halloween for this one and some of that little starry dust or whatever it is there. And then these two, I actually showed last time I did my video, so 2 weeks ago. These were using watercolor backgrounds, but those were 2 cards that I had made in that video. So I just thought I would show those again. And then, I almost forgot, I need to show you this little treat bag. So here I used one of the tags. I just cut it out. I made, so you can see how that's just cut there. So I made out this tag topper. I tied a bow around my bag, and then I just stapled this to the top of that bag, and I filled this with peanut M&Ms. So really cute little treat bag. So I think you could fill this with all sorts of things. So stick that here. So thank you so much for watching. If you would, leave me a comment. Tell me which is your favorite card. If you want to just vote between Petunia Pop and Pumpkin Pie, that's fine. But which one of these were your favorite? And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Share it with your crafty friends. If you need any of the supplies, I will have links in the description of this video and in my blog, which is thepowerofacard.blogspot.com. Thanks so much for watching.